All right, welcome back to Impact Wrestling, booked in TEW 2020. This is Ryan. We're at the start of a new month, April week one, 2022. Like to start off by apologizing for the break. I know I've said, multiple times the time between videos might be getting bigger. This was one of those cases. Last week I had some in-person work stuff to deal with, and then just this week I've just kind of been a lazy piece of crap. So, um, this show has been sitting like booked, at least on my computer, for the past 2 weeks, and on paper before then. So, um, I apologize if I'm kind of out of it, trying to remember what exactly I booked since then, but uh, yeah, let's get right into it. The news and our handy dandy slideshow. The numbers. Our numbers from last week haven't really changed. BTI, as always, is a point zero 0.01. Impact was a 0.25, which was the same from the previous week. However, attendance did go up slightly. It was up from 374 last week to 382, but that will probably change once again as I go into later. Good news is that for March, we still made money. Not a lot of money, but we're making money instead of losing money. We made 45,643, which, is down from 52,252 in February. But, you know, like I said, we're making money instead of losing money. That's always good. Um, But I think with this next bit of news and maybe signing more names, that might change. So, cross our fingers. But we did finish last again in the regional battle for the Southeast. So that means another 10% drop in attendance for April. So we shall see what that does to us. Um, yeah. I'm trying to remember last time I looked at the finance worksheet. Our worker basically our costs haven't really gone up. It's just that we can't maintain. We're losing money with ticket sales because we only run impacts and pay-per-views, and our attendance keeps dropping because we keep losing these regional battles, which I think I realize is based on overall show rating, which is why smaller uh companies like Shine and NWA are beating us, which I can understand like NXT and AEW beating us, but Shine and um NWA and others are beating us, and that doesn't seem right. But yeah, so that just means we need to get our overall numbers up for the show, which has been happening. It's been slow, but we've been doing better uh overall ratings. I want to say, like I said, this was 2 weeks ago, but I think last week was another tie for best impact thus far. So hopefully we can keep it going. We'll find out. Um Impact news, we got quite a bit of it. Juice Robinson and David Finley Jr. Are officially off of the Impact roster. They were on loan to us from New Japan, and like I'll go into in another slide. There actually been a lot of loan periods elsewhere that have run out, so I'll go over that later. But we also have some relocations to the southeast, which is our region. Josh Alexander, a world champion, his wife Jade Chung, and Rosemary have all relocated. Rosemary did like pretty much soon after Impact, and then a few days later, Jade Chung did, and then it said Josh Alexander moved with her. So, uh, but yeah, Josh and Rosemary are kind of, well, Josh definitely, he's our world champion. He's kind of like our, ace right now. Rosemary is definitely um a pillar of sorts for the women's division. So, bad news for Canada, good news for us, I guess. But bad news for us, we have another retirement announcement from our roster. Tyler Bateman of the Gospel of Violence has announced his retirement effective in 3 months. Um, this is like weeks after Ty Valkyrie announced her retirement. Um, I'm not super torn up about this because when I brought him in, I wanted to bring Bateman in, I wanted to bring Brody King in, and then I'm like, why don't we, you know, it would just make sense to bring them in as a team, but I kind of wanted to bring them both in as singles as well. But yeah, if Bateman retires, Brody can easily go singles and hopefully make a name for himself there. So yeah, kind of a bummer that he'd be retiring and that we would lose a tag team. But their pairing was kind of just to pad out the tag team roster as it is right now, and bro, like I said, Brody can easily go on his own. Davey Richards, we have, or no, we haven't done it. MLW has. Davey Richards extended his written contract with MLW, but he still remains on a handshake deal with Impact, so he can still work for us, which is good. Um, Starting tonight, I kind of did some backstage rearrangement, I guess. So I wrote, starting tonight, Jimmy Jacobs will do color commentary for BTI with Josh Matthews. Gia Miller will resume backstage interviewer duties previously held by Quinn McKay. So basically, uh, if you watch BTI in real life, it's basically like a clip show with one match. And Josh Matthews and Gia Miller are just kind of like talking heads on it instead of actual you know, commentary team, but I'm running BTI as like a B show with actual matches and somewhat angles running. So, um, hopefully, in an effort to boost the overall ratings for BTI, since that's just kind of like our low level show, and I have road agent starting out. Hopefully, putting Jimmy Jacobs in a color commentary role will boost it up a little bit. He does have a high color commentary stat, whereas Gia Miller didn't really. But since Quinn McKay, we're phasing her into in-ring action, uh, Gia Miller can do backstage interviewer duties. In previous, sorry, I hit a pen cup, but yeah, Josh Matthews has kind of been like the last couple episodes doing like backstage interviewers and like sit down interviews. We might use them for sit down interviews in the future, but yeah, just a little bit of shuffling. Hopefully, it'll help us out in the long run. I posted the card for WrestleMania 38. I kind of wanted to go over this, um, because it did not look that good. Um, there's some things going on, and even when like I looked up at the news page, it said like WrestleMania 38 was not well received by fans. So like an overall rating of 62, attendance 28,000 in Waldo Stadium in the Great Lakes. I don't know where exactly that is, but I'm gonna go down the card real quick. Just I'm gonna point some things out. Um, Pre-show matches: T-Bar defeated Danny Burch. Mansoor defeated Rick Boogs. Uh, Shelton Benjamin defeated Reggie. Mustafa Ali and Robert Roode defeated Drew Gulak and Bo Dallas by DQ. Um, then to start the show, Sasha Banks won a 15 women battle royal, which, if you remember from back at the beginning of this series, Sasha Banks won the Royal Rumble. So she didn't get a title shot at WrestleMania. She was in another battle royal and won that one, so I guess her character is she wins battle royals, but yeah, she wasn't even in a title match. Um, that would probably be worth walking out on, to me. Uh, Cesaro and Street Profits defeated Jinder Mahal and the Viking Raiders. Backstage interviews and segments. Shane McMahon and The Miz defeated New Day, which I assume is Kofi and Xavier, because Big E's still world title or world champ. and Ciampa and Elias. Charlotte Flair defeated Lacey Evans to retain the SmackDown Women's title, which I assume I guess if you put Sasha Banks in there, it would have been pretty like better received, I would imagine. Damian Priest defeated Sheamus by DQ for the U.S. title. Bobby Lashley defeated Kane to retain the IC title. Asuka defeated Becky Lynch by DQ for the Raw Women's title. So another DQ finish for a title match. Sheamus and Becky Lynch walk out with their titles. Bray Wyatt defeated Big E for the Big E title, the WWE title, and then um, again to show that the Royal Rumble had no bearing on this card whatsoever. Seth Rollins won another battle royal to win the men's battle royal for the main event of WrestleMania, which I'm pretty sure the winner of the Royal Rumble was Undertaker this year, and I think he was in this match. But yeah, just to go goes to show that the Royal Rumble does not matter in this universe, I guess. So, or at least the results don't carry over for some reason. So, um, I have some follow up news into the bye, stuttering again. WWE news. Before WrestleMania, Um, yeah, Samoa Joe suffered a broken foot at the NXT UK takeover the night before WrestleMania, defending the 24/7 title against Charlie Dempsey, but not the NXT title that he also has. Only out for a few weeks. Cesaro suffered a dislocated knee at Mania, only out for a few weeks. Mansoor suffered a severe shoulder separation at Mania, and he'll be out for 6 months. Um, Alexa Bliss defeated Becky Lynch on the Raw after Mania to win the Raw Women's title. Mace has left WWE, which I mentioned in a previous episode that I think he was rumored to be. The news had him rumored to be leaving, but then when he actually left, that didn't show up in like the big news splash page. I had to go like digging into like the overall news page for everything. So I don't know why that didn't show up, but Mace is gone. This is after Xia Li has also left WWE. So we do have people leaving WWE instead of, signing back for whatever reason. And then on NXT, Braun Breaker and Brooks Jensen defeated Imperium on NXT to win the NXT Tag Team Championships. So yeah. Miscellaneous wrestling news for AEW. The company has risen to medium size. I don't know if their status had changed or their status has changed, but like their number ranking, I doubt it has. They're number 3 in the world behind WWE and NXT. So I think it goes WWE, NXT, AEW, New Japan at number 4, and then we're at number 5. Um, in the overall rankings. Um, Ruby Soho won the women's championship by defeating Britt Baker and Kayla Rossi in a three-way on Dynamite. So she is being used much better in this game than in real life. Andrade, Eddie Kingston, and Arn Anderson have all extended their handshake deals with AEW, so they're staying. Um, AAA title change, cool and unusual, which is I think these might be game created teams. Cool and unusual. Supernova and El Hijo del Dr. Wagner defeated the Dream Warriors, of Black Taurus and Abismo Negro Jr. to win the World Mixed Tag Team Championship. So, our Black Taurus does not carry AAA gold anymore. GCW, Alex Shelley has signed another one night only deal, like he has been doing with AIW, to appear at the Acid Cup 2022. I was going to put the results of that show, but there was nothing really of note that happened on it. Um, just a sign that Alex Shelley has apparently going around signing one night only deals with places. Genocide for NWA, Genocide extended her handshake deal, so she's staying there. ICW, Joe Hendry and Louis Gervon hired on handshake deals. I think that's a part of the fallout of what we will get into later with places loan periods running out. Um, 0-1, Masashi Takeda defeated Yumihito Imanari to win the vacant International Junior Heavyweight Championship. And this was what I was talking about with loan periods expiring. Um, so like I mentioned earlier, Juice Robinson, David Finlay, who were loaned to us by New Japan, they're not with us anymore. We let that period run out, but so has a lot of other people. Millie McKenzie was loaned to by NXT UK to Progress and Pro Wrestling Eve, but not anymore. Shaw Samuels and Noam Dar loaned to NXT UK by NXT UK to ICW, which explains the ICW hirings. John Moxley loaned by AEW to NJP New Japan. Just say New Japan. So he's no longer working New Japan. Kenny Omega and FTR are no longer in AAA. They're back in AEW for good. Nigel McGuinness was loaned by NXT UK to NXT. So he is, I guess, the NXT UK exclusive now. Then Will Ospreay loaned by New Japan to New Japan USA and New Japan Strong. He is not working there anymore. So yeah, just kind of give you a picture of people going, people staying, and places. Yep, places. List of retirements. We had a lot this week. This is probably like less than half of the announcements. Again, this was kind of a big week of announcements of like Mexican and Japanese talent that I didn't recognize, so I didn't list them. But the names um that are recognizable, at least to me, I put on here. Announced Tyler Bateman, like I mentioned earlier. Gama Singh, the father of our Raj Singh, um, which he has been on Impact before. Um, I doubt we will bring him in for a send off, but Masakatsu Funaki, Doug Gilbert, aka Nightmare Freddy, CJ Perry, aka Lana, Prince Iakea, aka the guy formerly known as the artist known as Prince Iakea. Can't even get the thing right. Flash Flanagan, Stevie Ray of Harlem Heat, and Damian Darling. And then the official retirements, they're officially gone, or officially not wrestling anymore. Shinjiro Otani, Damien 666, Goemon, Shelly Martinez, Violent J, and Anthony Kingdom James. And then our before the impact results of tonight. I could go over. We have Larry D and Falaba defeating Raj Singh and Shera. Basically, the story of this match was Diener tried to run in and cost Larry D and Falaba the match like he tried to do last week, but they just kind of threw him out. Um, Diener served as more of a distraction than an interference, and Falaba and Larry D were able to win. Backstage, Deanna Prazzo offered Evans and Savannah Evans and Tasha Steeles a place in her alliance. This is basically setting up a match for later tonight in Impact. Basically, Deanna promises the two if they can take out Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie later tonight on Impact, she will give them whatever they want. And they think about it. They accept the match, but they uh you know terms to be decided later if they could get the job done. And then later on, I have Caleb with a K beaten down by Diener. This is more so like Diener running away from Larry D and Falaba after the match, and he basically runs into and knocks over Caleb with a K, and then kind of kicks him when he's down before he runs back off again. Just kind of something for these low rung talent to do while I figure something out. Uh, and then it says Mass and Rain beaten down by Rachel Ellering and Roxy. I don't imagine this as like an actual beatdown, but basically, Rachel Ellering or Mass and Rain is trying to hype up Brandy Lauren for her match with Quinn McKay. Rachel Ellering and Roxy come up and basically strong arm her into like sitting down backstage and watching, keeping a watchful eye over her because Madison interfered on their title match last week on Impact. So as payback, they want to make sure the match between Quinn McKay and Brandy Lauren goes off without a hitch. Quinn McKay wins her first match, defeating Brandy Lauren. Unfortunately, it only got an 18, so not a really good showing for them. Um, so an overall rating of 22. Uh, again, we're dealing with trying to get like our low mid card opener people stuff to do to build up, and that's gonna result in low numbers. Especially we got also like newer road agents trying to uh get them over. So that is it for the news, and we will go to Impact in a minute. All right, we start off Impact with a 3-on-1 handicap match. Black Taurus versus our trio of AAA superstars that are on excursion with us. Gotita de Plata, Commander, and Astrolux. I just snorted a bit. Sorry. Um, yeah, this is basically another way to get Black Taurus over as a monster by kind of, I wouldn't say squashing these three, but definitely manhandling them. Um, it also doesn't help that Matthew Raywalt is standing by at ringside, so he's kind of commanding Black Taurus what to do. Um, they all kind of get moves in, but they kind of all bounce off of Black Taurus, and he is able to put them all away. He piles all three in a mountain and pins them all at the same time. Segment rating of 31. And then after the match, we get a run in from Laredo Kid, who runs out, tries to save his AAA compatriots. He kind of runs out. Matthew Raywalt gets in his way, but he kind of does like a cool lucha move over Matthew Raywalt into the ring onto Black Taurus. But that doesn't last. Matthew gets back into the ring. Black Taurus and Raywalt double team Laredo Kid. So basically, the two bigger men over the four smaller luchadors in control, kind of getting a measure of revenge from their big attack last week backstage. Or, the AAA guys' attack on Taurus and Raywalt backstage last week. So, segment rate of 29. And then we get a segment at Swingers Palace. This was kind of just to pad out the card and give Swingers Palace something to do. But basically, they're celebrating their, most recent string of luck. They have, Zicky Dice beating Ace Austin last week. Even though Hernandez lost to Ace Austin the week before, they're still, they're all in high spirits. The casino's coming together. So yeah, that's basically them, chilling out, dudes being dudes. Segment rating of 25. But then we go back to the arena and we see Raj Singh and Shera after their match from before the impact, sitting in the locker room dejected when Ace Austin comes up to them. And he's basically like, I've been watching your matches the last couple weeks, and you guys haven't really been doing too good lately, have you?" And they're kind of getting mad, and they're like, I bet, losing all these matches, you're not getting the winner share of the purse. You're not getting money. You're going home, nothing in your pockets. You guys are probably broke by now, aren't you?" And they're getting mad, and Austin's like, "Hey, calm down. I'm not here to insult you. In fact, I'm here to help you. But you got to help me first. How would you guys like, how'd you guys like some money? How would you guys like to make some money? You guys have been losing matches, not making money. How would you like to make some money?" And they're, calming down. They're kind of into it, and they're just like, "Okay, what do we want to do?" And Austin just like, "Okay, just follow my lead. We'll meet back up next week, and I'll let you know what's going on." So Ace Austin is planning something, and he's getting back up in the form of Raj Singh and Shera. Segment rank of 25. Afterwards, we get a Gospel of Violence promo, basically hyping themselves up. They talk about defeating Rich Swann and Willie Mack last week to advance in the Good Brothers Tag Title Tournament. And they realize that the next match they have will be against the Wolves, which they also, remind everyone that every single time they've met, they have gotten the better of the wolves, and the hunter has become the hunted and all of that. So they're doing this obviously like in a creepy room backstage somewhere, trying to get their gimmick over. Tyler Bateman's getting better at his segment ring of 29. And then we go elsewhere backstage again. Angle heavy show. We get Rich Swann and William Mack, who, as I just said, suffered a loss at um, the hands of the Gospel of Violence, and kind of came out last week, arguing, not in the highest of spirits, and they meet up backstage in the locker room, and Swan's like, "I know we're not doing too good right now, and I know emotions are getting the better of us, but I just gotta come out and say it's like, this tag team thing's not working for us. Not just me, but you too, Willie. But you know, Rich reminds him, like he says, I used to be Impact World Champion. I used to be X Division Champion. Willie, you used to be X Division Champion, and I want to get back there again. I'm sure you want to get back, in title hunts again, but we can't do this together. If we keep going the way we're going, it's gonna, our friendship's going to suffer, and I don't want that to happen. I just want us to be successful, and I feel like if we were going to win, if we are going to be successful as a tag team, we would have done it by now, and we're not doing it. So, you know, if it's cool with you, it's cool with me. Let's just go our separate ways, and meet back up when we can. And Will is just like, whatever, man. It's cool. I hate to do it, but like you said, I don't want to, sacrifice our freedom or our freedom, our friendship for, continuing this team. So, they kind of shake on it and go their separate ways. So the team of Rich Swann and Willie Mack are done, apparently. Segment rating of 30. We'll see where they go from there. And now we get a match that was booked from before the Impact. Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie defeated Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans when Taya pinned Savannah after a road to Valhalla. Excuse me. Yeah. Basically, Deanna sent Tasha and Savannah to take out Rosemary and Taya, promised them, whatever they wanted if they succeeded, and they didn't. So, simple as that. Segment rating of 35. And then we go backstage and we see Deanna is watching a monitor backstage, and she's just like, knew this was going to happen. I knew I couldn't trust them to get the job done, all that. And then she sees Aussie Invasion walk by, Tennille and Jesse and Cassie Lee. And Deanna's like, hey, come here. I got something for you. And she is mostly talking to Neil. Jesse and Cassie are just kind of like on social media, not caring less, um, as they have been. Their character here is kind of like more preoccupied with how they look and on social media and stuff like that, as opposed to how they wrestle. But Deanna talks to Tennille and she's like, I need your guys' help. I need someone to take out Rosemary and Taya before the pay-per-view. I don't want to defend both titles, like at the same time. I need you three to take them out. And, if you can do that in a 3-on-2 in a handicap match next week, that would be great. And Tennille's like, that sounds good, but, if we do this, I want a title shot. My girls Jesse and Cassie, they have, they're the Knockouts tag team titles, and I'm here to win, you know, the Knockouts title and bring gold to all of us, right, girls? And they're just kind of like, whatever, on their phones. And Tennille's like, yeah, that's right. And she's just like, if we do this, we take out Taya and Rosemary, I want the next title shot. And Deanna's like, if you can do that, I'll see what I can do. So it looks like we have a match for next week. Yes, I went to look at my notes just to make sure. But yeah, segment review 40. Better segment than so far, the best one so far. And then we go backstage again elsewhere. Kind of a rehash of last week's segment with Gail Kim, where she was talking on a cell phone, and the cameraman tried to overhear what was happening. Um, this time the cameraman gets a little closer, and you kind of hear Gail Kim talking about like, we would love to bring her in, but we got to get stuff straightened out first. And that's about all as far as she gets before she sees the cameraman again. And she's like, no, seriously, you guys got to go. This is top secret stuff. I can't have anything leaking out right now. You guys got to go. So, not as much, uh, we don't get to find out what Gail Kim is planning again just yet. Segment rate of 26, I thought this did better last week. That's kind of a bummer. Um, then we go to Jake something versus Hikuleo. Um, Hikuleo representing Bullet Club, but like I said, Bullet Club USA is pretty much kind of dead. He is not on a New Japan deal, whereas El Phantasmo is. So I might be using Hikuleo in the future. This is kind of a test to see if it would be decent. But yeah, El Phantasmo has a deal with New Japan, so he's kind of hard to get. Um, so we probably won't be using him for the foreseeable future. But yeah, Jake something beating Hikuleo in 7 minutes 39. Jonah is at ringside. Their um, friendship with Jake something and Jonah blossoming. That's not a good word I want to use with two hosses. But yeah, Jake something continues his role after last week where he pinned his rival W Morrissey in a tag match last week. So segment rating of 30. And then we go backstage where W Morrissey is searching around backstage looking for someone where he finally runs into Eric Young. And Morris is like, yo, where's Joe Doring at? You know, I paid you guys to do a job. I paid you Joe Doring to have my back in that tag match last week, and what happens? I get pinned. I get pinned on a fluke by Jake something, and now I'm an embarrassment. Look what you guys did. And Eric reminds us, like, yo, you didn't pay us to make sure you won. You just paid us for a tag match. That was all. But if you're looking for the money, I don't know where it's at. If you're looking for Joe Doring, I don't know where he's. Well, I know where he's at. He's at Japan. And whenever he goes to Japan, I can't get a hold of him, and I can't get the money back. Even if I wanted to give you the money back, I couldn't give you it. So we have Morrissey and Young just kind of arguing with each other. Young still injured. Morrissey probably doesn't want to, well, he probably does want to beat up an injured person, but Morrissey goes off steaming, knowing that he is uh, less money and a winning record. So segment rating of 32. And then we get an angle. We get Gia Miller interviewing Chelsea Green. Last week, Impact ended with Chelsea and Maria laying out Jordan Grace, the digital media champion, backstage. And she just wants to know what that's all about. And Chelsea's basically hyping up the match for the title at Rebellion, and basically telling the world that with Maria having the backing of Maria, she can do whatever she wants in Impact, and she's going to be the digital media world champion, or the digital media champion of the world, I assume. So, segment ranking 21, another kind of bummer number. um, Hopefully, the show will pick up. I don't know if it will though. We get an angle with Homicide, and he's kind of just talking to the camera, and he says he's, you know, talked a little bit with Gail Kim about what to do with the Steve Macklin and Trey Miguel situation. They both have good points. Trey Miguel, got screwed in the match, but, Steve Macklin wants a title shot now that Trey Miguel is not the champion, blah, 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 blah. Stuff that's been, said for weeks. And he's like, okay, next week, Steve Macklin versus Trey Miguel. Winner goes on to face Shark Boy at the pay per view. But the loser isn't going to go home quite empty handed. They're going to get a second chance match at the pay per view against someone else. But for Steve Macklin versus Trey Miguel, there has to be someone to lay down the law. And that person's Shark Boy. And the X Division World Champion Shark Boy comes in. He's wearing his mask. He's wearing a ref shirt. He's doing the fin, but also doing the Fonzie right down the middle thing with his fin. So yeah, Shark Boy stoked to be guest ref next week. Does not probably look good for Steve Macklin next week, considering all the crap he's pulled to, try to get one over on Shark Boy. So, how fair how far down the middle is Shark Boy really gonna call it? We'll find out next week. Segment rank 25. And then this is the match where the winner of this match will face the loser of the previously announced match to earn a future title shot at the X Division title. Shane Strickland versus Speedball Mike Bailey. Shane Strickland wins in a clean match. Segment rating of 42. Okay, I was kind of hoping that would go higher, but what can you do? Shane Strickland in ring performance 49, Mike Bailey in ring performance 47. So they're something's going on tonight. Well, let's go on those high spots. Penalized for odd face heel combination. Yeah, they're both faces, but it shouldn't matter in a high spot match. Not quality penalized for low experience, but that's probably been a thing. So yeah, let's continue. We get a segment with the Impact World Champion Josh Alexander. He comes out to the ring and he reminds everyone last week. He's like, I came out last week to get an answer from Jonathan Gresham. Is he going to put up his Ring of Honor World title against my Impact World title? Title for title. There can only be one champion walking out. And I think I know the answer. And I think he wants to say yes. And I know he was about ready to shake my hand and seal the deal, but things happen with his wife. I get it. My wife's been the center of attention, or the focus of, you know, some attention, unwanted attention. I get it. You know, husband and wife in the business. It's business hard on families. Uh, yeah, but yeah, I get it. But I want Jonathan Gresham to come out right now and give me his final answer. I'm tired of waiting. I want to get this done. I want to see who's the best. Jonathan Gresham doesn't come out. Instead, Maria comes out. And she's on the mic and she's like, "Oh, this is so cute, husband and wife, but me and my husband, we're the power couple here in Impact, and I'm issuing a challenge right now for you next week, Alexander versus Michael Bennett next week for the belt." And Alexander laughs. He's like, "Hey, your man lost last week. In fact, and she's like, tries to remind him, it's like, oh, he didn't, get pinned or give up. It was ref stoppage. It was no DQ. It was the ref's fault. It wasn't his fault." And Josh Alexander's like, he lost, whatever. I don't think you guys both, either of you have, the any room to talk and ask for title matches. But, if you want me to whoop your husband's ass next week, I can do it either way. Um, but, he doesn't get a title shot. I can do it non-title, and I'll beat him clean. I'll beat him, and go on to Rebellion, retain and defend my title. And while he's accepting this challenge, Michael Bennett comes out from the crowd and attacks Josh Alexander from behind. So you know, we set up a match, non-title for next week. Josh Alexander versus Michael Bennett. But, Bennett getting the at least temporary upper hand here with a sneak attack. Segment rating of 37. Then we set up, we have the tag team tournament continuing. The Good Brothers tag team tournament. We have VSK and CPA already out in the ring, and they're awaiting who their opponents are. And Chris Sabin comes out with a microphone, and he's like, last week or a couple weeks ago, I said I was going home, but I wasn't going to stay home. I'm coming back to Impact and I'm bringing friends. And he brings back Alex Shelley. So it looks like BSK and CPA's opponents for the tag team title tournament are the Motor City Machine Guns. The Motor City Machine Guns are back in Impact, segment 33. Alex Shelley's debuted its hockey gimmick. It's got an initial rating of great, as it should. Recap gimmick changes. Okay, good. So yeah. And then we go right into it. Motor City Machine Guns beating the learning tree of VSK and CPA quite handily. I apologize, my chair is very creaky again. um, but yeah, Sabin pinning VSK to end the match. We get a segment rating of 38. More City Machine Guns are back. That's all I can really say. Kicking ass, and they advance in the tag team tournament. Um, And then, just imagine these next couple of segments are one segment. I kind of had to do some creative booking. We go backstage to Brian Myers in the Learning Tree locker room. Imagine Avery Goods there. But basically the focus is on Brian Myers. He's once again calling up the Good Brothers. They're sitting at home, and he's just kind of they're sitting at home chilling out. And Myers is like, "What the hell was that, guys? I thought you were going to give us a bye." And they're like, "Oh, we didn't say we were going to give you a bye. We said goodbye. We were, finalizing your guys's uh, opponents." But we get why we get why you're frustrated. We put your your young boys up against an established team. How about we how about we give you you know it's going to be you, and it's going to be Brian Myers and Avery Good against the Motor City Machine Guns in the next round. How about we bump that match up to next week while they're tired, and you guys can get advantage? And Myers was like, while they're tired, they didn't even break a sweat. They beat my guys within like, you know, less than 10 minutes. They didn't even have to try. But, while they're doing this, VSK and CPA eventually kind of come back into the locker room, and Myers is like, "No, you guys out. I'm conducting business. You guys failed. You guys go dress in the hallway. You guys don't even get a locker room. You guys go out." So VSK and CPA go out in the hallway. Segment rating 35 for Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. VSK and CPA are kind of chilling out, and VSK is kind of like leaning. They're both kind of leaning against the wall, and VSK is like, "Man, we really messed up. What are we gonna do?" And CPA is like, "I don't know." But they're near a corner. Suddenly, a pair of arms comes out and grabs C or VSK by the face, by the neck, and drags him off. Uh, and kind of leaves CPA just confused at what just happened. Segment rating of 15. And then once VSK is dragged off, those same pair of arms pull out a 401 or a tax form, and CPA is like, "Oh, taxes," and he goes to grab it, and the mystery person grabs him too, pulls him again or out of reach. So, and then I don't have it here, but imagine Brian Myers is done with his call. He comes back out into the hallway, and he's just kind of like, "All right, where'd you guys go? What the hell? You lose the match, and you guys walk out on me. What the hell's going on?" Unfortunately, those kidnapping angles did not go well. Segment rating of 15 and 11. I had to separate them into separate angles because there was no way to have a mystery person kidnap a tag team at the same time. So they had to do it in separate segments. Those two segments put together are probably still not as good as most of the segments on the show. Sorry. Segment rating of 11 again and 15. Then we get Jonathan Gresham coming out. He comes out with a microphone, and he starts talking. He's like, "First of all, I just want to let you guys know Jordan Grace is doing great, or my wife, Jordan Grace, she's doing great. She's been through worse. She's just taking the night off to recoup. She'll be back. She'll be back to kick ass. She'll kick Chelsea Green's ass at the pay-per-view, blah blah blah." But as far as the Josh Alexander challenge goes, the ultimatum, am I going to put the Ring of Honor world title on the line at Rebellion? It took me a lot of thinking to do this. I could potentially be the last Ring of Honor world champion, but I could also potentially carry Ring of Honor into the future. So I say, of course, I'm going to put the title on the line. So the match is official. Josh Alexander versus Jonathan Gresham, title for title at Rebellion. But before the show goes off the air, we get some pretty sparkly music, and Dalton Castle comes out. He doesn't have his boys with him. He doesn't have his peacock regalia. He's dressed in like a good, fine leisure suit, I guess. But he's not dressed to wrestle. Uh, but he kind of reminds the people. He's like, "Hey, did you get my note last week? From DC. DC. Uh, I bet you didn't. I bet you didn't guess it was me, huh?" Um, and he's like, "I told you we need to talk, and I knew this was coming. I knew your ego would get the best of you as the Ring of Honor World Champion, but as an elder statesman of Ring of Honor and a former world champion myself, I'm not gonna let the legacy die with you, and I want a title shot next week." So the two shake. I'm kind of wrapping this up early because I'm getting sweaty. But yeah, we're setting Dalton Castle's in Impact. We set up a title match for next week for the imaginary Ring of Honor world title that doesn't exist here. But still, Dalton Castle versus Jonathan Gresham in Impact. His Castle's debuted his flamboyant swagger gimmick. It's got an initial rating of great. Gives it small penalties to star quality, which I don't know why, but still, whatever. segment rating of 31. That sends us off the air. Kind of afraid to see what the overall rating is. 37. That's not horrible, I guess. It wasn't as good as our 40s or so was the last couple weeks, but still not going to help us in our regional battles. Hopefully bringing in names like Dalton Castle and Alex Shelley. Hopefully that will help us in the long run. We certainly have, you know, we have the Motor City Machine Guns back. They're, guaranteed to give us great matches. Um, so yeah, kind of wrapping this up fast. I am sweaty. We got two more episodes of Impact until Rebellion. So, we will see how that goes. We got Impact versus ROH World Titles, title for title. We got Deanna Prazzo defending two titles at the pay-per-view. Um, we have Deanna Prazzo meddling in things. We got teasers from Gail Kim. So yeah, things will start coming together, hopefully. And we will hopefully find out who kidnapped VSK and CPA um, in the coming weeks. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And thanks for watching.